Come on, you guys know I wasn't vaping. I drive a BMW, not a Subaru. Welcome to the channel, guys. Thanks for clicking on the video. Today is the episode where I thought that I'd be standing here talking to you guys about all the steps that we need to take to pull everything out of the car so that we can get started on the rebuild of the rear subframe and the rear subframe bushings that we had planned. But something happened and changed today's plans. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. All right. Ugh. Because of that stupid check engine light, son of a bitch. The other day when I got to the storage unit, I was warming up the car and I saw a check engine light pop up. And so I went to AutoZone because I don't have anything personally to read all the codes and see exactly what they are. And I had AutoZone read it for me, and here's what we found. Let's see, we got P1188 and P1189, and those are bank 2 sensor 1, bank 1 sensor 1, and that's talking about the O2 sensors. With those specific codes, there's a lot of different things that it could be. It could be a dirty mass airflow sensor, it could be bad O2 sensors, it could be a vacuum leak. There's just a bunch of things that it could be. The unfortunate thing about checking for a vacuum leak is you probably don't have the tools that you need to do it yourself unless you're a mechanic, because those tools cost, well, smoke testers for vacuum leaks and boost leaks cost about $1,000 or more. And that's ridiculous. I'm not gonna go out and buy one of those just to do that, and I don't wanna take it to a shop to have them do it. I'd rather just do it myself. But there is a pretty handy solution. And that is where this little thing comes in. So let me show you everything that we have here, and then I'll explain how it all works. So first of all, I just have a little pasta sauce can here, a little jar, and I've drilled 3 holes in the lid. Right here on the right, there is part of a Bic pen, the body of it that I've cut. On this other side is the lid with a tube obviously clamped onto that. And then in the middle is a soldering gun. And all that stuff has been attached through the holes that I drilled in the lid by some clear epoxy, and it's held on there pretty tight. And then inside of the jar, I have a couple old socks and a bunch of baby oil. And baby oil is basically just mineral oil, and the mineral oil, when it heats up by the soldering iron, it creates a lot of smoke. We're gonna get into how to hook this up to your car and use it to either test for a vacuum leak or a boost leak. But first of all, let me mention that this thing only cost me about $15 to make, and it makes a bunch of smoke as you saw earlier. But let's plug this thing in and let me show you guys how it all works. The only thing that you're gonna need besides this little makeshift smoke tester is a bicycle pump. So you can see I've got the bicycle pump hooked up to that white part of the Bic pen that we had epoxied into the lid, and it's already starting to get pretty smoky in there. And now let me show you guys just how well this works. So just take your pump. I'm just gonna drop the handle here and let it push it out itself. And you can already see, holy, just how much smoke that thing produces. It does a pretty good job. Nice thing is, the longer that you let it sit, the more smoke it's gonna produce. So if it doesn't seem like it's making that much, just give it another minute or 2. So now that you guys know how to make one of these smoke testers yourself for under 15 bucks, how do you use it on your car if you're testing for a vacuum leak or a boost leak? Along with that little smoke tester that we made right there, you're gonna need one of these. Just a little rubber glove with one of the fingers cut off on the tip. Whenever you're testing for a vacuum leak or a boost leak, you need a somewhat pressurized system. Especially for a vacuum leak though, you don't really need to use that much pressure. So what I've done here is disconnected my intake. This is my mass airflow sensor right here. And then I'm gonna attach the wrist of this glove around my little boot right there. So we have the wrist of the rubber glove attached over that, and I put a little hose clamp on there just to make sure it's not gonna come off. And now is where the little cut off part of the finger comes in. On the end of this little hose here, you can see I have a hose clamp along with where it's clamped onto the pen lid that goes into the cap. All you need to do is get the little finger, slip on the hose clamp, so you have that on there first, and then shove the end of the hose that's not connected to the smoke tester into that cut open finger, and then tighten this hose clamp on there so that no air can leak out. Once you have this little thing hooked up, then you have a completely pressurized system. Oh my gosh, and look how much smoke is here inside of this. All right, let's give this thing a go and see if we can find any leaks. I'm just gonna give it a few pumps here. Well, I think I found a leak. You can see there's smoke coming out from around my oil filler cap. Oh yeah, it's pouring out of there. Good thing is, I don't see it coming from anywhere else besides this little cap right here, and it's actually a pretty heavy leak. What's funny is, in the past I've suspected that oil filler cap to be the cause of a vacuum leak, but I wasn't really sure. So that just goes to show this little $15 vacuum tester was definitely worth it and helped me find where I did have a vacuum leak. I think it can end up saving you a lot of time and obviously a lot of money. As far as shops that I've seen charging for boost leak testing or for vacuum leak testing, they usually charge anywhere between like 100 and 150 bucks. So that's 10 times more than what that thing cost me to make. To be honest, I expected that to take a lot longer and to have to hunt around for where the vacuum leak is. Luckily for me, it was pretty obvious and it was right on top of the engine. I can't really think of a better place to have a vacuum leak when you're looking to find one. With that being said, with how easy that it was to make that vacuum leak tester, and with how cheap that it was to do it and how well it worked with how much smoke that it puts out, if you have an older car where rubber lines start to get a little cracked and old, or especially if you have a boosted car, if you've ever owned one before, you know that boost leaks happen all the time and they suck to hunt down. So if you have an older car or a boosted car, I definitely would suggest getting one of these things put together and trying it out for yourself if you're ever having issues. And now I know with that done and happening so easily and just going so smoothly, today's episode is going to be kind of shorter. So I'm going to show you guys something that I do once a year to just about every vehicle that I have or every vehicle that I've owned, just to keep it running a lot better. And it's actually kind of fun to do. We're not going to do it on the BMW because I've already done it on this car semi-recently in another video. We're going to do it on the truck. And what we're going to be doing is using this seafoam right here and having it sucked into the intake manifold and making a lot of smoke out the exhaust. One of the reasons I like to do this is it just cleans up your intake manifold and your throttle body and even your intake valves and things like that, and just lets your car end up running a lot smoother. And if you have a car with higher miles, or you have a car where you maybe haven't been so faithful with changing the oil, or if you have just a really dirty PCV system, this would be a good thing to try. This is especially useful for those of you who have an N54 or an N55 or any direct injection BMW or just direct injection car in general, because those tend to make the intake valves really, really dirty. Typically walnut blasting is going to be the best way to get that taken care of, but doing this with seafoam can help you not have to do that so often because it'll help clean it off a little bit. So I had to actually leave and come out to a parking lot because there was people at the storage unit next to me making a ton of noise, so we're somewhere else. This seafoam thing into your intake manifold is a lot more simple than doing a boost leak test or a vacuum leak test. All you need to do is drive your car around until you are up to temperature. As you can see, I am right there. Because in order for this to be most effective, your car needs to be nice and hot. And then, underneath the hood, just basically look for anywhere that has a vacuum line that hooks in. I like to do before the intake manifold so that it cleans out that as well as everything inside the head. I used a little vacuum line that hooks up just after the throttle body and hooked a long hose up to that because it's easier to stick it into the seafoam bottle to suck it out. But you could use any other vacuum line. A lot of people like to use this brake booster line right here. Just pull the hose off and you can use that. So this part, your car is going to run a little bit funky, but what you need to do is just start up your car and then slowly let that hose suck the seafoam out just enough that your car won't start, but it's going to run a little bit rough. So you can hear that it's running a little rough. That's because it's got a massive vacuum leak. But here's how you do it. Just stick the hose in here. And you have to just do it nice and slow. Otherwise you'll kill the engine. So keep just doing this until the whole bottle's gone. You can already see there's a bunch of smoke coming out over here. Okay, we're out. We gotta hurry and shut the engine off. So after you shut the car off, this is where the heat soak comes in, and this is why you needed your engine to be hot, because you're gonna sit and let the car heat soak with all that seafoam in there for 10 minutes. And while it's sitting in there all nice and hot, it's gonna be breaking down all the carbon and all the nasty oil and stuff that might be inside there. Looks like we got 350, so at 340 we'll turn the engine back on.
Something very special, very special.
Just watching some Tommy F, yeah. Oh, 4 o'clock, here we go. Now we get to do the fun part, and anybody that's here right now is definitely gonna think that something is very wrong with my truck. So let's start this thing up. I do have the vacuum line hooked back up, as you can see right there. All right, it's probably gonna run pretty bad, at least for the first minute or so. Oh yeah, oh my gosh. Oh, That is so much smoke. This is probably the most I've ever had. I'm not even revving it. Look at this. All right, I'm gonna set the camera down and give it some revs. This is when a ton of smoke should pour out. Oh my gosh. Once you guys are done giving it some revs and having some fun watching all that smoke come out, just go for a drive and get hard on the throttle a little bit so you can burn the rest of that off and get all those carbon deposits loose and out of there. And you know, you might find that after doing it, your car might idle a little smoother. If you have misfire codes, those might go away. The car just generally runs better, I find, after I do this. With that being said, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. I'm super glad that I was able to find that vacuum leak and hopefully take care of the check engine light in the BMW. And thanks for joining me as well to watch all the smoke come out of my truck with the Seafoam. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well so that you don't miss an episode. And I will see you guys in the next one. 596, 583.